All right, everybody. Welcome to the Kaleb DGAF show. We had some minor technical difficulties with the live stream, so we are going pre-recorded with none other than former Pittsburgh Steelers wide receiver, seventh round draft pick out of the University of Houston, and now current offensive assistant head coach at Indiana University, Demarcus Ayers. How you doing, brother? Nope. I think I could. Nope. Something made a sound. I can hear you now.
Right, cool. Well, yeah, I'm doing well, man. How about yourself?
I'm doing good. Just been refreshing my Twitter feed on all Steelers news 24/7.
Yeah, man, it's been crazy. I've seen a route that Deontay Johnson ran the other day.
Oh, he's
So like
nasty.
that was like the first thing I seen. I was like, wow, okay, fresh off the payday too.
Yeah,
Right.
yeah, he got
Hey,
it was. Yeah, that was his first because he was doing that hold in like kind of like TJ did last year,
yep.
and so he was participating in individual workouts, but not like team drills. And I think that
Yeah,
video you're talking about, I think that was an individual workout. But
one-on-one.
yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, he toasted him.
yeah. That was good to see.
So, all right, well, since we're talking about, the Steelers and stuff like that, and then obviously you're a current or not current, former Pittsburgh Steeler. What was your time like in Pittsburgh? How was it playing with Ben, AB, Le'Veon? What are some things you saw that either had you like, holy cow, did that just happen? Or, like, what's going on here? Because, we're all familiar with the AB and Ben turmoil.
Yeah.
I asked AB to come on the show. He was like, "You got 15K?" I was like, "Nope, I definitely don't."
Yeah. So, but no, man, crazy experience. Probably, definitely, but most definitely my best experiences. The years I was with the Pittsburgh Steelers. Man, I just remember so many memories. Just awesome to play with all three of those guys. Honestly, like Ben, AB, Le'Veon. I mean, it was just great times to be a part of that organization. And I didn't realize until I left, like what it was like being a part of such a great organization from the ground up. And like everyone there is just amazing, from the cafeteria people to the scouting department to the owner. Um, I was there when Mr. Rooney died, and just to see that whole like see how he was every day on a day-to-day basis, and you can just kind of see him just like us kind of losing him every day, with him just coming to work, like not complaining, just always smiling and remembering people, and like he could just light up the room, just with his energy. And it was obviously a sad time losing him, but just every day, just that work ethic of him coming to work, although he knew like any day could be his last day, like that was very impactful for me, being a young player and not really knowing what it's like to be a professional athlete, but learning, but seeing someone who's been in it and has been driven for all these years, and the way that they run their family, the organization, like it was definitely a blessing to be a part of. So just a lot of respect there for them, obviously. But to piggyback on your question, I mean, Ben was awesome. It's different to play with Ben. Probably a little bit different than any other quarterbacks I played with. Like the little time I was in New England, Tom was different, like totally opposite of Ben. Like in terms of a person, just the way he approaches everything, just the way he prepares. Like, I mean, not a knock against Ben, but just kind of he's just totally two different people. And obviously Le'Veon was Le'Veon. He was the best back in the league when I was there. Um, just to see him work every day and the kind of guy he was a team first guy. And then you got 84, who was, I know the media portrayed him to be this person, and rightfully so. You know what I mean? I'm not gonna get too much on that because he's still like a big brother to me, and I can pick up the phone right now and call him and probably answer, and we'll laugh about all the memories we had and the things that we talk about, the kids, like whatever. Um, but just the same guy every day, come to work, You know what you were going to get out of him. Obviously, he built himself up from being a Pittsburgh Steeler, just interacting with the fans and things like that. So just kind of seeing him grow and be a pro every day. The off the field stuff, I'll let y'all have that. But just being in the workspace with him, seeing how much he puts into it, his craft, how much he cares about his kids, his family, the people around him. I mean, I have nothing but good things to say about him because he was great to me. So.
Yeah, and I think yeah, his work ethic was never. I don't think that was ever in question. Everything like that, it was obviously, you had a different perspective of him because you were with him basically every day.
Yeah.
During that time with Pittsburgh, and Le'Veon, he's a freak of nature. I was super excited when we drafted him in the second round that year. Ben was my he's who I grew up watching my entire life. This just came in today. I'll show it off a little bit. But the thank you Ben bobblehead.
Yeah, that's nice. That's nice.
It took 6 months to get here. Can you believe
Wow.
that? But
got it.
but then yeah, you said you played with Tom Brady, and that's what's crazy about that. Like you said, that they were like polar opposites, and I think as Pittsburghers, we kind of already knew that, essentially, because Ben was just backyard. He was just gonna show up off season. He was most likely drinking beers, and just hanging out.
Mm-hmm.
And Tom Brady, he's always had that chip on his shoulder. He was that 6th round 199 pick, and he's just taking it, and he's still playing to this day.
Yeah. So yeah, man, it was just different, like Ben was kind of, and I don't want to speak bad about Ben because he's such a great player. Didn't hang with him enough to know what kind of guy he is. But the work relationship was always, it was rocky early. I can remember the first day being there, like walking in the hallway, just signed my contract, just going by, shaking everyone's hand, saying what's up with people. And he just happened to be in the building, and I was kind of like, that was probably the first time I had been around an NFL player, and I was like kind of stunned. Like like I trained with like Adrian Peterson. I was around Trent Williams because we had the same agent, Jason Peters. Like I had been around guys. Ruben Randall, at the time he was in the league, we had the same agent. And so I had been around guys, but I had never been like starstruck. You know what I mean? And so
Yeah.
first on the building, this big man, I watched him all these years and seen all the great things he's done in the league, player that he was. But it's just different when you like, damn, I really just shook Big Ben's hand. Like my day in the building. Like I didn't expect to see him. You know what I mean? Like he was just casually, we chopped it up for like maybe 2 minutes and just happy to be here. Ooh, and it was just kind of like a small little conversation. And then first like couple days like of OTAs, like with the not just the rookie, because you got the rookie mini camp, then you got OTAs, and so like rookie mini camp, I'm in there with uh Landry may have been there, just kind of just throwing around. I came in with like Dustin Vaughn and like there was some other guys, but you don't really think nothing of it because like they're not the guy. And no disrespect to them, but they're just not the guy. Like this is a guy that's done it for a long time. We're talking about on track to be a Hall of Famer, and here I am shaking his hand. I was just in college like 4 months ago. You know what I mean? And so to be that close to somebody that had done all these things in the league, and it was just like, damn, like this really happened. That was a moment for me, and then just going through that whole phase of just trying to build that trust with him. He really would throw the ball to me early on. Like you know how like when you warm up and you got like the guys that's on the roster, the guys that's playing that week, or the guys that played the previous year. Like he throws to AB, Wheaton, Martavis, Sammy Coates, like Darius Hayward Bay. Like I'm in the line with Landry Jones. I'm like, like if I was in college, like I'll be throwing with whoever was up at the time that I was throwing with. You know what I mean? And so that was like a hard pill for me to swallow because I was so eager to get in there and learn, be in the same line with 84 because he was my favorite, one of my favorite receivers before I got to the league. So like just being able to be behind him, seeing how he run around. So when I get up there and get my chance, like I got a chance to show off like I got this ability too. And so I didn't really get that early on, and I really wasn't getting the help that I thought I would have from being early on. And so like I struggled with that, like just not being, because I come from, like everywhere I've been, I've kind of always been a good player and or always been one of the best players. And like for the first time, I didn't have a relationship with my quarterback, and I didn't care to be in the limelight or anything like that. I was just like trying to have a relationship with my quarterback,
Yeah.
and like I was like, damn, how am I ever going to get on the field if I don't have a relationship with my quarterback? And so like I had to swallow that pill for like, it took me almost 3 weeks into camp before I started getting reps with them. And so like that was very, very different for me versus when I was in New England. Like it was like day one. Like if I was up when Tom was up, hey man, at the top of the route, just give me this. Like I need you to be quicker out the break. Like it was like the initial, and then like when I got there, it was like shook my hand. Hey, you know what you're here to do? Let's work. And I felt like, okay, like this is a business, like this is business. You know what I mean? I embraced that. You know what I mean? So it just was a little bit different. But once I earned Ben trust, though, I will say like he took me under his wing, like and made sure I had what I needed to have week in and week out. He would always just make me feel very, very involved, but it was just so hard to earn that trust early on, and I struggled with that.
Yeah. Yeah, and that's kind of going back to your when you were drafted. I mean, personally, me and my father, we were huge fans of you. We wanted you to succeed, and I think if I remember correctly, when you were drafted, there were small comparisons to AB, and I could see that you guys had the same play style. You both were kick return, punt returners.
Yep.
Very great receivers in college and everything like that. And me personally, I think just when you came to Pittsburgh, it was just such a super stacked receiver room,
Mm-hmm.
and it made it. I'm not gonna say it made it harder because you had the talent out there. You could see it in the preseason games that you played in, and then I think it was it against the Ravens where you got your first playing time with us in the regular season. Yep.
Yep.
Okay.
No,
And
no.
then I think the next week.
Yeah, yeah. You're right. Yeah, it was.
Okay. And then I think the next week we had already clinched you got the AFC North champions hat on. So I think that's the week we played the Browns, and you had to start, and you had a pretty productive game. And you said Landry Jones, he's kind of hit or miss with Pittsburgh fans on how they feel about him. But
Man, don't be too hard
yeah,
on
yeah,
Landry.
no, I like.
Hey, Pittsburgh fans, listen, I understand Landry is not big, and I know everyone wanted him to be, but he's a great person. He helped me out a lot, and he was a major part of the little success that I had while I was there because I took majority of my reps with him. He took me in. I learned the majority of the plays from him and Marcus Wheaton and AB. So like, don't be too hard on him. Just don't be too hard on him.
I actually had it was I lived in Missouri for 7 years. I'm in Colorado now, but I think my first Pittsburgh game in Kansas City, Landry Jones started, and I think we lost. I don't know. That may have been your rookie year. I'm not sure if you played Kansas City your rookie
No,
year.
we beat Kansas City. That was so yeah, we beat them the second round of the playoff. We beat them to get to the AFC Championship.
Okay, I was also at that game. That was my first playoff game with my dad, and that was a hell of a time.
That was that was my probably one of the funner games I played in, honestly, because you everyone tries to hype up the stadium, right? This stadium thing, it's gonna be so loud and it's gonna be the loudest stadium you ever played in, and like just hearing that in college, like, and then in the NFL, and then you actually play in Chiefs Kingdom, and it's like I started that game and I came in motion and I was next to the tackle, and I could not hear Big Ben say "hut." Ball snap, and I just took off. And so like that was like, wow, this is like playoff football moment. Like it was rocking in there.
that was that you could It sounds like that was like, wow, this is the NFL moment for you.
Yeah,
Yeah.
definitely. One of them.
That's yeah, I remember that game was I remember Vince Williams coming down and just laying the smack on Tyreek before Tyreek was Tyreek.
Yeah.
That was crazy. And I don't know if you're familiar with the terrible tailgate or anything like that, but that's actually where we met the head of that. It was the year before he started that.
Gotcha.
And he's a pretty cool dude. So we've known him, I guess now it's been 6 years. But
You talking about Vince?
no, I've never met Vince.
Oh,
Hopefully, maybe he'll watch this one day, and
yeah.
I'll come to Pittsburgh. I don't know, but no, his name's Kevin Adams,
Gotcha.
and he runs like the top. I think I know his the Hayward House for their celebrity softball game.
Gotcha.
They actually just had him do the tailgate for that.
Gotcha.
So he's made a name for himself. He's pretty big in Pittsburgh now.
Gotcha.
But yeah, that playoff game was crazy. And I remember it got delayed because of that ice storm.
Mm-hmm.
That was and then the Boz came through for us.
Yep. Definitely.
Another player I'd like to talk about that I didn't add to the question or topic list before we move on to our next topic, Ryan Shazier.
My guy.
What was it like playing with him?
It was dope, to put it into words. Like, and I think for me, like, you talk about like someone who is a great person first, and like I'm a firm believer in great things happen to great people and for great people. Um, he's just selfless. I can remember, like, it's always cool to have great teammates, but like when you got teammates that have the same goals and aspirations in you, and they respect your grind, they respect where you come from, the things you've done, the things you're trying to do. They understand you as a person. You have a different click, and it's a different mesh, and it's hard to explain sometimes, but you just know like it's like my grind buddy. And Ryan Shazier was that with me. It kind of just took me in. I think Ryan is maybe a year older than me, maybe two. He kind of just took me under his wing early on. I was so eager to get around the guys who just worked the hardest on the team. I knew that would be my edge of trying to make the team, and so I naturally gravitated to Ryan. Um, and we would hang out all the time outside of football. And I learned, like, when I was hurt, during training camp, and I would see Ryan. I'm at the facility, having to be there early for treatment. Well, Ryan Shazier and Debo's in there every day working like they're the same time as the people that's there for treatment, getting early work in before work actually starts. And so I kind of learned how to be a pro from Debo and Ryan Shazier. And once I got healthy, I just kept the same routine. And early on as a young player, you don't really understand the importance of how to take care of your body. That's a part of being a professional. That's almost like the most important part of being a professional. Um, I would, I used to think like coming home, putting my feet up, a little bag of ice here, a little bag of ice there, a little heat there. But just most important, just being off my feet. I thought that was just a part of recovery. Where when you start getting around guys who are at the top of their game, and you wonder why they play so well on Sundays, they do things outside the facility on top of what they do at the facility to make sure they're ready to go and be the best version of themselves every day. And for me, like 84, 92, and 50 was that for me. Just my grind buddies, and just understanding what it was like to be a pro, and just like the work he put in on top of what was required. Like that stood out to me, and I have a tremendous amount of respect for him, and just seeing the battles that him and Le'Veon went to. And I tell people all the time, like, so we sit in our staff meetings, and I was like, you think one-on-ones are pretty good with, Antonio Brown or Allen Robinson, or even now, like, just being at practice and watching the guys do one-on-ones and how competitive they are. Like, you talk about a running back and a linebacker looking like a receiver and a DB in one-on-ones every single day. Like, that was the most impressive shit I've ever seen in my life. You know what I mean? Like, watching Ryan Shazier compete with Le'Veon Bell, because Ryan was a guy who was kind of built like a DB, but in a linebacker body. Had the instincts of a DB and a linebacker body, and he was so fluid. If you didn't make him stop his feet, he'd run around for you. And Le'Veon was like, if he'll skip you off the ball, walk off the ball, and give you a little juice at the top, and he was like, damn, you would think he was receiver number one. So like it was so impressive to watch those two guys compete against each other every day. And then just the respect that they had for one another, and knew that like we're here to get each other better, but we're gonna compete every single day. So like that's kind of like my story about 50, because he just was big for us, not only as a player but just his character, his leadership, his accountability with the guys in the locker room, and the person that he was every single day, no matter how hard his day was. He just cared about other people. So he's definitely like one of my guys. And as you can see on my page, like when he got paralyzed or whatever, as soon as the off season came around, I made sure I went to see him. And we went and ate at Jerome Bettis' restaurant, and I text him from time to time, still to this day, and just checking on him and checking on his kids, checking on his family and stuff like that. Because you hate to see such bad things happen to great people, but I've never seen no one handle a situation the way he handled his, under the circumstances, obviously. And it was just very impressive to just see. But then you think about the person who he's always been, and it don't surprise me at all. So that's my story about Brian Shazier.
Yeah, and that's everybody talks about how great of a person he is, and I was actually at work that day of that Cincinnati game, and I remember that just being a physical game all out. I'm pretty sure JuJu had already laid out Vontez at that point, and then just on top of it was either before or after. I can't I can't really remember, but I do remember Ryan going down, and I called my dad because I saw him, doing his thing right here, and I was like, his legs aren't moving.
Man, I remember I was watching the game with my family, because like I was like super salty that year. Like I got cut. Like I was pissed, because I felt like I had done a lot in that last preseason game, and I just knew that I was going to come back. And they actually offered me a practice squad spot, but I decided to sign with New England because I started to feel a different feel with 7, and I didn't feel as welcome as I did the year before. And so I thought it was just time for me to move on. I had just played and started in games, and I maybe jumped the gun a little too early. I probably would still be there if I would have just been a little bit more patient. But I was ready to just grow. You know what I mean? And so I remember just sitting in my living room watching that game, and I remember him going in and making that hit. And when I seen him, like his body collapse and him just like turn over, and like he couldn't, like I could see his arms, I knew. And I said, Mom, like that's not good. You know what I mean? Like I knew. I didn't want to say it, but I knew, because I knew how tough he was. If he can get up and walk off the field, he would have.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And if he could have hopped off the field, he would have. You know what I mean? That's just the guy he was. And so when he rolled over and he didn't even move his back. Like it was so weird. Like his body just kind of dangled. And like I was like, yeah, he's paralyzed.
It was.
At least the bottom half. You know what I mean? So like I was just like, fuck. Like I hate that happened. Like I knew, but it was just like it was a tough day for me. I can remember, like, bro, I was literally crying because I didn't really care about the football player. I was more so thinking about the person. Like ball didn't run, like it wasn't like, damn, I hope you go back in the game, or like it wasn't about football. It was like it got real personal for me because I knew how much work he had put in to be the player that he was in the league, and just to see, like, just to know like he couldn't get up and walk off the field on his own power, like that just didn't sit well with me. So definitely a sad day.
Yeah, like I said, growing up an Ohio State fan, watching that, and then him getting drafted by Pittsburgh, and watching him become probably a linebacker we may never see in the NFL again, who runs He was probably out. He was the fastest guy on the team.
Yeah, he won the race. Remember the race?
Yeah, yeah.
So,
And I just the things he could do were just remarkable. And now they traded up for Devin Bush, and he's from that team up north, so
yeah.
yeah, he can't be a Ryan Shazier, but
Yeah.
I'm still rooting for him to succeed.
Yeah.
But to get off this heavy topic, we'll go into your favorite NFL moment.
Ooh. Uh, can I have more than one?
Yeah, yeah.
Okay. Obviously, I think the first one would be the first game, my first game playing in a rivalry. I never really knew what the rivalry would like. I didn't know the magnitude of that rivalry. Like everybody has a rivalry. Like at every school, every conference, like you got a rivalry, right? But the Steelers Ravens rivalry is a little bit different. I want to say we played them early in the season. I couldn't remember the outcome. We played them in Baltimore. I obviously didn't travel, so I didn't get to experience it. But with that being Christmas Day, my first game, my mom had never been on the airplane, bro. Like ever. Right? And so that whole let's fast forward. I mean, let's rewind. The week before that I get promoted. I think I'm going to play against the Bengals. I didn't play, right? And that's probably the happiest I had been in my entire life, just because you work like obviously getting drafted is a very emotional day, important moment because you just all you care about is just hearing your name getting called. But it didn't really hit me that I was an NFL player because I technically wasn't, but I was. Like I got drafted, but I didn't play in the game. I didn't like OTAs, mini camp is mini camp, like still learning things, like but like even in the preseason, like it just felt like that's what I've been doing my whole life, right? But you work so hard to get to be in these moments, to playing these big games, and for me, like Christmas Day, mom first time on a flight, mom first NFL game, right? My brother was living in Pittsburgh with me because he had just got back from Afghanistan doing a tour in the army. You know what I mean? Like just to have like that was an important moment for me to have not only get promoted and be able to play in that game, but to have my family there and share those memories and moments that like that'll never be able to be taken away from me. You know what I mean? Like, yeah, we all talk about having these experiences and doing things that's never been done in our family and stuff like that. But like to do it with the people you love the most, and them to see me in that moment, like that was a big moment for me and my family. And then it was Christmas Day, and we all know what Christmas Day is God Day. Like, and that was just a special day for me. And going out there playing against a good opponent, trying to clinch playoffs, for Mike Tomlin to have that trust and belief in me, Danny Smith to have that trust and belief in me, Richard Mann to have that trust in the Roonies, like to promote me, and that's such a big game. Like my whole plan was to like not let my hometown down, my family down, the Roonies down, the Steelers organizations down, myself. Like, so like that was probably like overall for me, that was like probably the biggest moment. Um, the touchdown was obviously a big moment for me, just for my personal growth. But me, I never really cared about the accolades. Like it's cool to have, and I work hard to be the best at whatever I'm doing at that specific time. But just to be able to feel some personal growth and like knowing that I'm getting better from the week before that. And again, my mom and dad was there. That was my dad's first game. And just to share those moments with the people I love the most again. Um, and just getting all the texts and phone calls from people, everybody's watching the game on Sunday. Like this is everything that I've dreamed of. Being able to have the opportunity to one, put my family in a better position, but also let them share the same experience that I'm sharing, although and make them feel a part of it as much as I am. And those were just like a few big moments, and then obviously still been able to get a hat on in the first two playoff games. Miami come down first round of playoffs, made some big plays in that game, got couple first downs, and then obviously playing against Kansas City. Um, yeah, so those I would say those are kind of like the touchdown, the rivalry game, the 2 playoff games. Those are all like big moments for me. But I also had a hurtful moment the following week in the AFC Championship, not like getting to experience that, like not getting a hat after I had been playing well. That was like that put a dagger in my heart. Like I was pretty sick about it. And then just like looking back at it, that was my last real game in Pittsburgh, like being a Steeler. So, because you come back the following year, obviously, I was hurt all preseason with the hammy, and then I only played the last preseason game. And so, like, that was, for me, that was like a big game for me because I didn't know what we were going to do in the offseason. I had no plans. I had no, like, I didn't know we were going to draft JuJu. But if I play in that game, maybe we don't draft JuJu.
Mm-hmm.
Being like, and that's not a knock against him. That's not a knock against the organization or anything like that. But I felt like that was going to be a big stepping stone for me going into the following year, like coming back, being able to compete against Eli, Martavis, whoever it may be. But knowing that, like, regardless of the outcome of that game, like I felt like I would put myself in a better position going into the next season on the depth chart. And I didn't get that opportunity to do that, and that still stings to this day. Like, because like I say, like I'm not saying if I play in that game we win, but I was a big part of that game plan that week. And another guy got that hat that wasn't a big part of the game plan.
Kobe Hamilton.
And it's like I ain't gonna name drop. I ain't gonna name drop.
I think I did it for you.
But that was very hurtful because it was just plays in that game that I knew that I could have made an impact on, and I just didn't get that opportunity. So it stings a little bit still to this day, but hey, you live and learn, you move on, and you continue to be the best person you can be every day. So
Yeah, I remember. I mean, that kind of your story right there kind of gives an insight. Like you talk about your first time suiting up for a game, like how stressful the NFL actually is for just any player. Because I mean, it's not high school. College is a little bit more stressful, and obviously the pros is just a whole different level. Something you've been working your entire life for. And then I kind of want to revert back to you said your brother. Was it 2016? Your brother was in Afghanistan.
so my brother in Afghanistan. Yeah, so my brother's in Afghanistan. I want to say 2014 through the top of 2016. So
Okay.
right after I got drafted, he had just gotten back in the States, maybe like that March, maybe. So it was like right after
Mm-hmm.
fine. I think he had just got back in the States. But yeah, he did a tour in Afghanistan, and before that he did one in Iraq. And so yeah, I moved him to Pittsburgh with me. He was just kind of working for me and just helping me with everything, things that I didn't have to worry about outside of football. So
Yeah, I think so. I was in Afghanistan at the beginning of 2016 through the middle of 2016. So we may have been in the same spot. I know there's many places in Afghanistan,
yeah,
but obviously respect to your brother and everything like that. That's
thank you as well, bro. Appreciate your service.
thank you. And we'll kind of go back, like obviously the NFL is super stressful. You had to deal with that, and then I would agree with you because I remember a few of the catches. I think you had 2 or 3 catches in that Miami game,
Mm-hmm.
and then I do want to kind of talk about 2 hits in that playoff series. I think and so we've already talked about one of them. I think we know which the other one's going to be, and that was in Miami, and which one was harder. And I think we know the answer to that. The Bud Dupree Matt Moore hit
Oh,
or the Vince Williams Tyreek hit.
oh, I gotta go with the Bud. The Bud was like when Vinny hit Tyreek, it happened so fast. Like it was
That
like
was the beginning of the game, right?
yeah, I think so. It was like
Yeah.
it was so much of a bang bang play, like and like I don't think people realize how hard it was until like after the fact. but the Bud versus the Miami, like you can hear it in the stadium, like it was cold, so I know that one hurt.
Yeah.
That one hurt a little bit, and then like just the reaction from their sideline and their players, like they really want to kill Bud. But the craziest thing about that hit, Bud don't even like to this day, and I just seen Bud like 3 weeks ago in Miami. Um, Bud don't even think he hit him hard because he's just so impactful. Like he's just so like, bro, he's a rocket, bro. Like he just like he never. I would say him and Law Dog, they never understood how hard they hit.
Mm-hmm.
Like they'll hit you on accident and it hurt because they only knew one speed. Right, Mike Mitchell, same way. Like, they just were stumpers. Mike Mitch is actually coaching for the coach now. I just talked to him last week. I was supposed to go up and see them practice last week. So, but yeah, man, I like that Bud. It was a hard one.
He probably because all he did was run as fast as he can, and he's not slow by any means, and he's coming downhill.
I used to hate. So we had this formation where we used to call. It was like bunch right, bunch left, and where like the bunch is tight to the left tackle. Well, I used to hate it because Bud's the rush in, and like I'm the third guy inside, and like I'm trying to, you know, come off the ball and avoid getting ran over by him and run this route, and like so I would always like wait, like let him rush and then go, but I'm like the last out of the formation, and so like that used to suck. And then like one time I had to chip him, I'm like what, like. We can't put a bigger guy here. Like, you want me to go chip this 260-pound freak? Like, so it was. I mean, his get off, like just jumping the snap. Like he was so good at that stuff. Like he's definitely like one of the best at getting off the ball and just he's so powerful.
Yeah, I think it was the following year TJ was drafted.
So TJ got drafted the same year as JuJu.
Okay.
That was our first round. I think JuJu was our second round pick, if I'm not mistaken.
I think you're right. Yeah.
And yeah, I knew.
Yeah, because
I knew. Trust me. Like, and I don't even know if anyone else could vouch for me that I knew, but like I could remember when we drafted him, and a lot of people was like, "Damn, it's JJ Watt's little brother." Like, he played tight end, I think, at the time, like the year before. And he just went crazy. And I didn't really watch where he went to Wisconsin, right?
Yeah. Yep.
I didn't really like watch him in college. Like I didn't pay close attention, but I knew, like I was aware of what he was doing. Like you'll turn on TV and they play Ohio State and he sacked someone, like, and you would hear like crazy story. He went from tight end, he trained with his brother. Where JJ was playing, JJ used to come to our games when I was at University of Houston, so I remember seeing TJ, because I was like they were always around, like, and so when we drafted him, a lot of people saying he's gonna be a project, like he's gonna take some time. But I like remember practice one, it didn't take no time. like first day of like OTAs, he just finished rookie minicamp and we were doing, I want to say 7 shots at the time, and came in there and like made 3 of the first 4 plays, like batting the ball down, like bending on Marcus Gilbert. Like I was like, he's gonna be pretty good. He's like, I remember he literally came off the ball, like jumped the snap, came off the ball, gave Marcus Gilbert a 1-2 swim, jumps up, tips the ball to himself, picks the ball in 7 shots. And I'm like this the guy that played tight end a year ago? Like, but it was just like you could tell, like you just could tell. It was at some point.
Yeah, that's I remember the year he was drafted. The Steelers had a pretty decent need. They needed somebody else next to Ruben because Vince hadn't fully, showcased his abilities. and I remember Reuben Foster was in that year, and I was like, it's either gonna be Reuben Foster or T.J. Watt. I remember calling my dad after we drafted TJ. I was like, "Well, you know what? He's a Watt, so he's had NFL training for I don't know how many years. JJ was in the league at that point, but he had been training with them
Yeah, and I
that entire time.
honestly, to be honest, like I really thought we was going to draft Tyus Bowser because Tyus was my teammate at Houston, and
Hmm.
um, Tyus was free too. Now you talking about like windmill dunking, like between the legs, like he was just so athletic. He played on a basketball team at Houston too. A lot of people didn't know that. So like he was this freakazoid that like could brush the passer, could drop in coverage. Like he could just do a number of things. And I remember when Mike Tomlin texted me and he was like, "Da, how tough is Tyus Bowser?" And I was like, "He's pretty tough." Because he had got an incident with a teammate at Houston where one of our teammates, him and they got in a brawl and Tyus, I think like maybe had gotten his jaw broken or something. Got his helmet, it hit his helmet. I can't remember the story, but so they were questioning his toughness. I was like, he's pretty tough. Like he was one of our tougher guys, and I was like, we got a chance to take him. Like because he fit the mold of the Steelers defense, and so I thought we were going to draft him, but then we didn't draft him. We took TJ, and I was like, oh, that's not a pretty bad pick either. You know what I mean? So now it ended up working out for him, and I'm glad. It's good to see the player that he's become. Um, but same thing, like he's just a guy that came in day one and knew how to be a pro because his brother. Um,
Hmm.
so it's really good to see him win Defensive Player of the Year, and I mean that was just such a game changing draft pick for them. I mean he's definitely elevated the defense. So
Yeah, and so we can kind of, because you talking about TJ, like as soon as he walked onto the practice field, he was disrupting quarterbacks. And now I believe, don't correct me if I'm wrong, one of your former Chicago teammates in your stint there was Mitch Trubisky. And now Mitch has to deal with TJ Watt every single day at practice. I mean, do you think he still he has the I don't want to say talent because that sounds disrespectful a little bit, but do you think he has what it takes to lead Pittsburgh to a Super Bowl? And what was your favorite thing about him?
sorry, Mitch, bro. TJ's gonna be there, so you got to get used to throwing around him. But to answer your question, I think like obviously he was number one pick in the 2019 draft, maybe 2020, no, 2018 draft.
I think it was 2018.
I think it was 2018. Um, and he only started 1 year in North Carolina. So I think that like coming to Chicago, but he's the number one pick, everyone expected him to be like this guy. And I don't think people understand how hard it is to start 1 year of college football versus a guy who started 3 consecutive years or two years straight. And you get an opportunity to grow. You get the opportunity to grow as a player, but specifically as a quarterback. Like those are valuable reps that you take practice and game for 2 to 3 years straight. It's so hard for a guy to start 1 year in college, go to the pros, and be the guy from day one. Like it's like your organization is probably not very good, or the quarterback is really, really good, and everyone else is not. You know what I mean? It's not as good. Let me not say everyone is not. And so, like, I think like one, he didn't see a lot of football going into year one, which is why he didn't win a starting job coming out of training camp. I don't know the situation there, but just based on what when I got there, like I could tell, like you could see like why. And then he ended up starting games, I believe, at the end of his rookie year. And when I got there, I think I got there at the end of his rookie year, and you could see like the growth because watching the game, the first couple games he started versus watching a few games that I was there on the roster with them towards the end of that season, you could just see like, oh, he's getting better with the throws, he's getting better with the reads, he's checking out the plays. He just felt more comfortable within the team, the scheme, um, and you could just see it. And it kind of remind like just me being a player trying to make the team trying to come there and leave a good impression. Like I knew what it felt like to be in the shoes that he was in. You know what I mean? Having to climb that ladder, not a lot of reps. I had a big jump my last year in college. The success I had, I didn't have the first 2 years as a receiver. So technically, I only really had one big season as well. And so, and there was some things that I did really well, and there were some things that I struggled with as a player. But when you're taking a lot of reps in practice and you're getting a lot of reps in a game, like you give yourself an opportunity to grow. And you're able to make mistakes and still get chances to go back in and make the corrections when you don't take as many valuable reps or you're not playing as much or you're playing very limited. Like you don't really get to learn because everyone's not a visual learner. Like, hey, let's watch this guy first 20 plays and let's figure out how not to do the same things. Like you have to go out there and do it as well. On top of taking the reps, the middle reps. And so I think to answer your question, I think that's where Mitch was. And then obviously we know how it went. He ended up not being there this year. Now he's with the Steelers, and I think it's actually probably may be a good fit for him. Honestly, I think he'll embrace having a coach like Mike Tomlin. I think it'll give him the opportunity to grow and be the player that I know he wants to be. I think coming back the second year, him competing for the spot with Chase Daniels in training camp, like you could just see the leadership skills starting to pick up. He was more confident, more vocal, making some better throws again, and just meshing better with the team. But I also kind of felt like we were trying to be the Kansas City Chiefs in Chicago, and we didn't have the personnel to be the Kansas City Chiefs in Chicago. Now, Allen Robinson, great player, great receiver. Tyreek Cohen, he's the same. To me, he was like Tyreek Hill. Like he has the same similarities as Tyreek Hill. He showed that before Matt Nagy and them got there. When they showed up, they kind of didn't use him and didn't know how valuable he was. They were trying to force feed other people when our offense had been Jordan Howard, Tyreek Cohen, and then we got Allen Robinson to take the pressure off those guys. We went and signed Taylor Gabriel to take the pressure off those guys. But I think we were trying to use Taylor Gabriel like Tyreek Hill when we should have been using Tyreek Cohen like Tyreek Hill. You know what I mean? And so it was just things that didn't work out. And I don't Pat Mahomes and Mr. Trubisky is not the same guy. You know what I mean? And so I don't think the scheme didn't fit Mitch. And I'm not sitting up here and let's make excuses for Mitch, but to his defense, I mean, he didn't have the opportunity to be as successful as he possibly could have been because of the things that was going on around him. And I hope that he has that opportunity for you guys because we don't know what Mitch Trubisky could be. But he has I think you guys receiving core is a lot better than what we had in Chicago. And that's not a knock against Anthony Miller. It's not a knock against Allen Robinson, Taylor Gabriel, and the rest of the guys that was in that room. But I just think you guys have a well put together receiving corps. With Deontay, Chase, Pickens is going to be really big for you guys. I don't know what else is going to happen at the bottom of the roster, but you guys have some good players in Steven Sims. You know what I mean?
Anthony Miller's on that receiving room too.
Anthony Miller, you got Calvin Austin, right? So you guys have talent in the room, and I think regardless of who you guys play on the center, I know everyone is ready to see Kenny Pickett play, and I think he has some tools that could be very helpful for the organization moving forward. But I think you guys are in good hands with in the quarterback room now. I'm not saying you guys got your big bang, but based on what you guys have around the guys that y'all have in the quarterback room, you guys should be okay.
Yeah, I mean, I won't. As for Steelers Nation, I won't speak behalf on Mason Rudolph, even though he's all reports saying he's tearing it up in training camp. It's been a rough watch of him the last 5 years, but it does feel like, Kenny Pickett and Trubisky, they fit that what Matt Canada wants to do on offense and everything like that. And then there was a question I did skip as you brought up the receiver room. What would be your favorite receiver in that receiving room?
Oh man, you're gonna put that on me. I don't know, man. It's kind of hard because, like, obviously, I want to say Deontay because he's probably had the most success in the room. I think he's becoming a guy, one of the top guys. I'm big on route running. Like, everybody asks me, like, what's your top five? What's your top five? And, like, my top five is always going to be route runners. Like, guys
Mhm.
have the ability to play more than one spot. They can win man coverage. So that I'm, like, big on that. But Deontay Johnson, I'm sorry. He's definitely one of the guys game that I'm liking. He kind of reminds me a little bit of myself and AB. Small school guy, chip on his shoulder. Obviously, didn't get drafted as low as us, but he's definitely a guy that I'm excited to see that his game continues to grow. Um, Chase Pool has a lot of potential, but I'm not gonna lie. I'm kind of interested to see how you guys use George Pickens because I think he reminds me so much of Martavius.
Mhm.
Um, just the skill set, the ability to track the ball, his speed is a lot. It's just not. It's just different for his size. Um, I think he can be better than Claypool,
Yeah, that's
and
you
it's hard.
pick.
It's hard for me to say that because I think Claypool is good, but I see so much in his game. Like he doesn't play. How tall is George Pickens? 6'4", 6'5"?
I think he's around that 6'3", 6'4" range. I know he's not 6'5". He's 6'3" or 6'4".
He just plays different. Like his ability to get it. Like him and Justin Ross was like the guy that I was kind of like obviously you got like Jameson Williams, like those guys, like Garrett Wilson, Olave, like you knew those guys was gonna go, but like
Mhm.
I knew like George Pickens and Justin Ross is gonna be steals in this draft for whoever because I don't feel that they got talked about a lot. If George Pickens don't get hurt, he's a top 4 or 5 receiver off the board. Um, and so like I'm just excited to see those guys. And I know Justin Ross got hurt. Um, you know, hope he gets well and get back on the field because what happened to him in this draft was crazy. I hate that for him because he's just a good player. But George Pickens just seeing everything he went through to get back on the field, coming back, competing, won that championship. I'm just rooting for that guy. And
Yeah.
I hope he becomes the player that he wants to be. But also just like I hope that he's not playing very timid because he's coming off the ACL. Like I hope he's not. I hope he can just still be that player. You know what I mean? And I know he will because I've been seeing great things all about him on Twitter and the routes he's been running. But I'm just pulling for him because I really see a lot of good in his game, and he fits the Steelers receiver mode.
Yeah, he's definitely I mean, Vince Williams said it right away, like as soon as they drafted him. His highlight tape of him getting at that Georgia Tech corner. We
Mm-hmm.
won't talk about the results of it because George Pickens laid it on him, but he's got that dog in him. He's like a linebacker at
Yeah,
receiver.
yeah,
And yeah, I mean, he's been nonstop. Like he's an NFL headline now because of how well he has been doing at Steelers training camp. He's already receiver number 2 on the depth chart, which Tomlin says what Tomlin says, and he's like, I just put this out there because y'all need it. That's
mm,
it.
yeah.
It's like it means nothing right now.
Yeah.
But
I definitely think he's gonna be okay. He's so like you guys, like it was very hard for Juju to be that guy after 84 left,
mhm.
right? Like, and I told people the whole time, and I know I was in competition with Juju, and everyone's like, "Oh, you're just hating, you just hate." I just never knew, like, I never thought he was gonna be one. He just wasn't that guy. Like, he's a great football player. He wasn't a great receiver.
Mhm.
And it's a lot of people that's not, right? Like, you can't knock someone for not being a great receiver, but like it's so much harder when when you go from being like number two and you're not seeing the double team to being number one and you're seeing the double team and you're still having to get open. Like 84 was still getting open. And he created a lot of like not just for JuJu, for everyone in the room. Like I knew, like for me, my mindset going in every day, win one-on-ones in practice. Because in the game, I'm going to see one-on-ones.
Mm-hmm.
Every time I come in the game, all I have to do is get open. Like that was my job, just get open. Because 84 is going to take two people away. Now you have 9 people left on the field. 4 of them are getting rushed by the passer. 3 of them are linebackers. Like I have to beat the guy in front of me, and that wasn't hard at all. I've done that my whole life. So like it's a different level of pressure when you like think you're this guy, and then the reality kind of kicks in. Like, damn, like I really gotta be. You mean I gotta carry this role now? Like it's just different, and I don't
Yeah.
think like he was a very very savvy guy in the slot. He's not really an outside guy. Now in the Chiefs offense is going to be very helpful for him because he don't have to be that guy. You got Kelsey, you got Hartman, you got the kid they drafted from Central Michigan.
Yeah,
Like,
Sky Moore.
you like
Valdez Scanning,
you got
I
all
think.
that Andy,
Yeah.
that like they like that's a good situation for him now. And I think that was a smart decision by y'all not paying him. I don't get into like, oh, you should pay this guy, you should pay this guy, but like I think it was just a good change of scenery for him and you guys because you lose him, you get George Pickens, you get Calvin Austin, you get Anthony Miller. Like he's replaceable. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
And I think he's again, no disrespect to JuJu Smith Schuster. I think he's going to do really well in Kansas City because that's a great fit for his talent. But for him to be the number one guy in Pittsburgh and the offense you guys run, that's very, very hard because you don't have the skill set to be number one. So,
Yeah, I think like to kind of piggyback off that. I think like we kind of knew like he was his body type and the way he was. It was like the perfect slot receiver.
yes.
And I think that's this past season before he got hurt and hurt his shoulder and was out the majority of the year. I think that was the time they were like, you know what, we're finally going to use him in that slot role again because we had Chase, who is also he's better in the slot than I think he is outside with Deontay Johnson and Pickens on the outside, and then you put Chase on the inside. That's dangerous. You're gonna have Chase and Freiermuth as your inside guys. Like, I mean, as long as the
And
quarterback situation works
like,
out, good luck.
exactly. And so now you guys could literally be in 12 personnel because Chase Claypool is 6'5".
Yeah.
Like, you don't really have to get into real, like, he's like an H. You know what I mean? He's like the extra fast tight end that can stretch the field, but he's really a receiver.
Mm-hmm.
So, and I didn't even know you guys picked up Mal Bortles. That's actually not a bad pickup for you guys as well
Yeah. Yeah.
because
I
he can
think in
field too.
I mean, like you said, we have Stevenson. Like it's gonna.
You're
Then we picked.
good, bro. Y'all are good.
Yeah, yeah.
Y'all.
We and like Gunnar Ocheski, he doesn't have the receiver numbers from New England, but he's an All-Pro,
Returner.
returner. And it's like man, I
Man,
was like,
Danny gonna figure it out, man. He's one of the best in the business. He'll figure it out. He's gonna always find
yeah.
it. So
So we'll go from there. We were talking about Trubisky since we skipped a question on the receivers. What are your thoughts on the quarterback battle between Trubisky, Pickett, who, like you said, you said yourself, you were, one of those guys that really sprouted there last year in football, and Kenny got blessed with another year through COVID, and he absolutely just
yeah,
destroyed the
I
competition.
thought I thought he was gonna win the Heisman last year. Honestly, like,
Mhm.
and it's Bryce Young had an incredible year, but you just look at the jump that Kenny Pickett had, and he had a Heisman candidate receiver. when it was a Heisman or Belendikov. It's Belendikov. The guy won a Belendikov. So Jordan Addison, and so like you could just like I just felt like he's gonna be in that Heisman conversation. Like the whole year, you could just see it every week, throwing a post, throwing a deep. Like it was just always the deep ball, the deep ball. And I'm like, damn. Like you look up, I think Jordan Addison had about 17, 18 touchdowns last year, and but it was also just watching quarterbacks last year. I think he's one of the best college quarterbacks in the country. And then like it's crazy that him and James kind of had the same similar situation. They get an opportunity to get drafted and just go across the hall.
Yeah, yeah.
uh, man, I don't know. It'll be interesting to see how it plays out. I've been, we had an argument in the group chat earlier today with me and some of my guys, and we were talking about Kenny Pickett. And it's like, man, I just don't know. It might take him a while. Is he gonna lose to our job with Mr. Trubisky? And I'm like, I don't know. I think Mitch is eager to get a fresh start, and I know he's gonna get the opportunity to have the first nod. But I also think like just depending on how well he plays at any moment, if he's not playing really well, I don't think it's gonna take Mike Tomlin long to kind of like, hey, we got to play this guy because they're just not the organization to not play their first round pick. Like they're real big on uh, getting people valuable reps that's gonna help them either give them a chance to win um, this season or for seasons to come. And like I say, I'm kind of pulling for both guys. I actually played with Mitch, and it'd be cool to kind of just see him get a fresh start and just have some success. But at the same time, um, being a former player there and supporting you guys, and I know how eager everyone else is to see Kenny play. If he does get the opportunity, I also want him to play well as for you guys, and I know that'd be big for him, and yeah, it'd be a crazy story. So.
Yeah, yeah, that's what like the I'm not gonna say just Steelers Nation because I saw it on a few other team channel. Like it's usually like the Ravens Twitter and Bengals Twitter, Browns Twitter. They're always follow. They're seeing what the Steelers are up to,
Mm-hmm.
And Kenny had a rough first week of practice, and you got to tell like you got to slow down. Like he's
Yeah.
a rookie in the NFL. He's still got to He's learning a new offense. He's
Mm-hmm.
got to catch up to the speed of the game. And then, I mean, personally, what would you say he's in the easiest? No, I'm not. So the easiest first round pick
By quarter.
position going from Pitt to Pitt, or does that make it harder for him going from Pitt and
I
then
think
getting
I think
drafted by Pitt?
for him, I think it makes it easy because he's comfortable. Like he
Yeah.
knows the city, he knows the people. Um, he he's not set up to fail. Like some
Yeah.
quarterbacks set up to fail.
Mm-hmm.
Going into a very young receiving core, but has a lot of talent. He's playing for I think the best head coach in the NFL. Whether you want to base it off wins, whether you want to base it off a great person, a human being to play for, like Mike Tomlin makes young players comfortable.
Mm-hmm.
It's important to him to not only make you comfortable, but to make you how can I explain this? Um, Whatever you need, I'm here for you. Like you're not in this alone.
Yeah.
And not only he's going to do that, he's going to do a good job of making his staff do everything that they could possibly do to make sure you're in the best position to be successful every single day. Like
Mm-hmm.
if you're a visual learner, he's going to literally assign someone to you to make sure you got the visual that you need. If you're a board learner, someone's going to stay there, come early, leave late, just so you got the information you need. If you're a walkthrough guy, he's gonna make sure that you get all the walkthrough work that you need. Like you're not gonna you won't leave the Steelers organization saying that they didn't give you everything that you needed to have to be successful. And that's one of the things that like I didn't realize until I left there. Like you don't get this everywhere. So like
Mm-hmm.
it's very valuable, not only to the young players but just like to the older guys because the older guys become mentors and leaders and rub off on the younger guys as well. And so you getting your coach, you got your coach with you, you got the leader of your position room, you got his assistant, you got the head coach, you got the Roonies. Like, you just got so much love and support. Like, they do everything in their power to make sure you got what you need in order to be successful. And every place is not like that. So I know they'll do a good job preparing whichever guy ends up winning a job. But I think Kenny Pickett will be good in the long run. I think Mitch will have some success too early on. Hopefully, he has success later on too as well. But I think you guys are okay.
See, then that's what like you brought up. You thought he was going to win the Heisman. I think after I think the Heisman ceremony was after the fake slide.
Yeah.
But like, and that's what I like to bring, like, to have the cerebralness to just come up with that on the fly is like you gotta love that in a quarterback. And
that was crazy.
And he's starting to,
I was like in the hotel watching that game. And I was like, yo, he just did that. Like, he really just did, like I don't know if he was just like, I don't know if he like had practiced that or he just came up on the fly. Like, I don't know, but like that was crazy.
Mm-hmm.
And I want to say they made a rule because
they did literally, like, it was maybe not even a week after.
That was like what the F moment.
Yeah. Yeah,
that was special, bro. I'm not gonna lie.
He says he didn't practice it, so I mean, he's the only person that really knows the truth.
Yeah.
We'll go ahead and believe that he came up with that on the fly.
He got like, I don't know, he gotta do something with that. That's crazy. Like, I would get that framed.
Yeah. I think they on the Total Sports Enterprise or whatever, the TSE Pittsburgh website, they sell that framed of him doing the fake slide.
If I was Kenny Pickett and I had another year of college, I went back to college and got an NIL deal off that fake slide. I'm just joking.
But one more question on Kenny, and then we'll move on to the last question. What is your take on the small hands? Does it matter?
As a quarterback or receiver?
As a quarter for the quarterback.
Man, listen. If you can spin the ball, you can spin the ball. Like, obviously, like, I understand the whole small hand, big hand. You want a guy that could literally put his one hand around the ball, but some guys' grips is just better than others. Like, if the guy can grip the ball, if the guy can spin the ball, like, at the end of the day, like, who cares, right? Like,
yeah,
it's too much thought behind that. Like, no one knows. Like, I don't know. I wish I had a best quarterback ever considered the best quarterbacks ever to play in the NFL right in front of me, so I can look at all the hand size and like tell you like it don't matter. Like,
yeah.
Like, it to me, it doesn't. Like, if you can spin the ball, you can spin the ball. Like, I'm pretty sure like the Kyler Murrays of the world don't have like crazy big hands. Like, Russell Wilson probably don't have like the biggest hands. Like, so I like where the game is right now though. Like, the quarterbacks have always been good. Like, you got Peyton, the John Elway, the Montanas, like, but just like it's just crazy to see how much the game has evolved at that position. And just how athletic those guys are now, the ability just to get out the pocket and make plays. But as a receiver, like, we don't care. Like, we don't care about that shit. Like, it's just,
Yeah.
can you get the ball to me? Can you not? And so, I let the analytic guys and scientists, the football guys, I let them have that.
Yeah, I think they That I agree with you that the hand size is, I think it's a little bit overblown with how they
Yeah.
portray it.
Like, I'm not gonna
Because
go like, hey, bro, how big your hands is? That's gonna dictate how good you throw the ball.
yeah,
Like,
yeah,
you know how much a guy making $50 million is gonna like. You know, but how he's gonna react and look at me like you're crazy. How can I get there tomorrow? Like you ain't cut. Like you go up, I'm like, bro, how big your hands are? Oh, and this guy makes 40, $50 million to get you the ball every single day. Like what? Who cares about that? Don't matter.
yeah,
So
yeah. That's yeah, that's a good point. Because I mean, like, what are you gonna tell? I'm not gonna catch from this guy. His hands are too small.
yeah, Aaron Rodgers and Tom Brady will look at you like, who is this kid?
So we'll go into our last question. Into your post NFL career, you are now a coach,
Yep.
and you're a coach at Indiana University. I would assume that what you do is mainly receiver work.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Quarter. I actually. So I kind of got a dual role. I'm in a quarterback room, but I still coexist with the receivers and work with the receivers a lot. I do a lot of their drills, and the guy that we have here now is actually he was the receivers coach for the Cowboys the last couple of years. Adam Herring. He was in Cleveland before that. He coached Odell and Jarvis at LSU and coached Odell with the Giants and in Cleveland. So and he had,
Hmm.
so uh, it's been very cool to just kind of pick his brain and just him allowing me to be a young coach and do what I do. And he tell me to this day I'm not too old to learn. He's 50 years old, and he's still here and willing to learn the new where the game is going at the receiver position. And I've learned so much information from him and just being and seeing how he work and operate on a day-to-day basis. So it's been very cool to just kind of grow. And then obviously, um, not a lot of African American guys in the quarterback's room or around the quarterback. So still learning there. I played quarterback my whole life up into college. So still got a lot of room to grow on the coaching side because it's just so much more than just, oh yeah, hey, let's draw this concept up and let's run this. Like the pass protection got to be right, the back got to be on the right side when the protection slides and pick up certain things and blitzes and stunts. So that part of the game has changed a lot from the last time I took a snap as a quarterback.
Hmm.
So now it's just being able to be around the receivers has been really good because we didn't have a very productive year at the receiver position last year. My tight end that's went undrafted and is now with the Cowboys. He led uh, the team in receiving yards, so we got to change that this year. And but we actually got a really good tight end, AJ Barner, who's going to be a really special player. He's 6'6", like 250. Reminds me a lot of like Eric Ebron.
Hmm.
Like he's very, very like I think he can be like a day one, day two kind of guy. But like he's really good.
Yeah,
Uh,
he's that guy.
he's that guy. And then we got a receiver transfer from Tennessee, Anderson Kobe, who's gonna be really good for us. My little brother's actually on the team. He just got here in January. He was the number two JUCO receiver coming out of college last year. So it's been really cool to just to see him grow and turn into this monster. So um, we get DJ Matthews, the transfer we got from Florida State a couple years ago. He's gonna be really good for us. So we got a few guys that's about 6, 7 guys that's gonna actually be able to play some good football for us. So being on this side now has been really cool though, just to see how, like I say, the game is still evolving, and I've only been removed from college for about 6 years now.
Hmm.
Uh, been removed from pro ball like 3 years, and it's still continuing to change. And it's just crazy the freakazoids that are running around the field these days. Like, and so like my job is just to try and not let them make the same mistakes I made as a player, learning how to take care of their bodies, helping them get in and out of breaks, winning in press coverage. All that's been just as fun as scoring touchdowns. So I'm enjoying what I'm doing. Um, I got asked the question by a scout that I know from the Dallas Cowboys today, do I have any intentions of coming back? And I told him, I still got the itch to play. Honestly, I go to practice every day with my cleats on. I'm still working out and stuff. So got a lot of calls from the CFL. Almost played in the USFL this year. But right now, I'm just really enjoying what I'm doing. If that happens to come a year from now, 2 years from now, I'm open to it. But I really think I can really take this thing to another level, and just the impact that I have on kids and people. Like I see the vision, and just taking whatever God to give me right now, man. So I'm at peace.
Yeah, I mean, I imagine it's pretty special to be able to mold those or I guess that next generation, because I mean we're right around the same age. We're both
Yep.
27, and well, actually, did you just turn 28?
Just turned 28.
Okay, yep. And so I imagine that's pretty special. And then I think you still got it. If you wanted to make a comeback, you probably definitely could do it.
Yep.
Dallas would be a good place because I don't know. They got CeeDee Lamb, and I personally I don't know what the Cowboys have at receiver other than CD. I know they got maybe one other guy. I'm sure you don't want to comment on that because
And when I tell you, it's only two teams that I would literally draft the cleats back up and play for, and that's Pittsburgh and the home team, Dallas.
hmm
Anyone else, I mean, I would literally have to really consider it. My biggest thing is like time is valuable. My time is valuable at this point. If I'm gonna do something, I'm gonna do it. If I have the opportunity, like I said, I'm open to it. And I'll be all in. I'll do everything I gotta do to get myself back right. But I'm at peace right now. I'm enjoying it. Just to being able to spend a little time with the family and just see them more and stuff like that. Obviously, I work a lot of hours, but just figuring it out, man.
Yeah.
But yeah, definitely the only two teams that could probably get me out. So
Yeah, and those receivers in your Indiana receiver room, they need to whenever you come and give them advice after coming from the quarterback room, they need to know hey, I know what the quarterbacks are talking about.
yeah,
I know what they're looking for.
that's that.
So in that position of the assistant coach, obviously, the typically assistant coaches bounce from room to room,
Mm-hmm.
so they get a feel, so they can eventually, like yourself, can turn into that full-time offensive coordinator, full-time positional coach, and progress in that way. So I think as freshmen in college, they might be a little bit more naive to that than the upperclassmen and guys who've been there for a while. So
Yeah.
yeah, I think you're on the way to being a hell of a coach. For one, I was always a fan of you whenever you were in Pittsburgh. It didn't make sense to why we let you go, and then you brought up JuJu, so um, it was just I think in that case it was just a high round draft pick guy, and um, other than that, well, we talked about how your time in Pittsburgh, your favorite NFL moment, the direction that you felt like the Steelers were heading, and your favorite receiver in that room, what it was like playing with Trubisky in Chicago, your thoughts on the QB battle,
Mm-hmm.
and your post NFL career in the coaching. And I think I think we covered it all, brother. I'll ask you to um, stay on the side here as I stop recording. But I want to thank everybody for watching the now third episode, because you would have been my fourth. I had Jersey Jerry on for a third, but the file didn't save. So yeah, yeah. But I want to thank everybody for watching, and I want to thank Demarcus Ayers for responding to my IG message and being welcome to come onto the show.
Most
And
definitely.
we want to thank you guys. Demarcus, you got anything?
No, man, I appreciate you. Shout out to you for having me on. I hope you continue to have success in your podcast and things you choose to do for Steeler Nation. And again, man, salute to you. I appreciate everything you do. Appreciate you for fighting for our country, and God bless you, man.
Thank you. And that's a wrap for the Kaleb DGAF show.